Chapter 21. An Urgent Visit. "Get up, you lazy ass, and pack!" Kira groaned as she barged inside the room, half-dressed. Was she fucking the beta boy the whole night, or what? She had some stamina for that petite body. Elsa slowly opened her eyes, blinking several times while adjusting to the bright sunlight. Why does she have to wake up? She was hardly sleeping the past few days, and now that she finally managed to get some sound sleep, Kira wanted her up? For a brief second, she wondered if she did the right thing by joining the Opals. "There's no time for you to adjust, Princess. You need to hurry," Kira yelled as she was rushing through the room to grab her things and pack. Wait, they had to leave already? But they just got here. How much do they travel? And where? Noah or no one mentioned a journey this quick. Did she miss it somehow? "Why are we traveling in such a hurry?" Elsa asked as she got up from the soft mattress. She missed it as soon as she separated from it. She briefly glanced at it with longing and pity. "You heard Noah through the pack link, right? He didn't inform the why part, but he was pretty serious. He's blocking everyone, including me. So just hurry and get ready. He'll tell us later at the assembly point," Kira said as she was wearing some decent clothes finally. That girl was already ready, and Elsa had barely managed to reach the washroom. Where was the Elsa from the Red Moon pack? She would be up and getting ready in a flash, and this Elsa? Oops. Beatrice was a lazy ass. She chuckled a bit. Things changed so fast, and Elsa wasn't upset about this last part, at least. Now she was not a maid of the entire pack. "Miss Dreamy, you are probably going to make us and everyone else late. Now I gotta go. I have work to do. You better not be late," Kira grumbled as she left the room, slamming the door closed with a thud. Elsa couldn't help but yawn. She was tired. Dark circles were visible under her eyes, despite the little sleep Elsa had. But she needed to thank Noah later for comforting her last night. That is, if you could call it still night. When did he leave? And what happened in such a short time for them to make a move like that? She wondered if Noah was okay. "Elsa?" She heard a voice in her mind and flinched. Involuntarily, her hand was at her chest and she was breathing a bit loudly. No one in her previous pack deemed it necessary to mind-link her, so this was all a bit new for her. "Are you there, Elsa?" She heard the voice again. It was Noah. Why was he reaching out to her and not Kira? Yes. I wasn't expecting you to mind-link me. Are you all right?" Elsa asked. "I am, thanks. But it's you who connected with me, not the other way around," Noah clarified. She facepalmed herself. How dumb could she get? She should learn better control and not just create a link with any random person she was thinking of, no matter why. Now, what was she going to tell Noah? I was thinking about last night, and then why you wanted to leave so suddenly. I wasn't aware that I was reaching out to you." Elsa decided to speak the truth. She never felt the need to hide things from Noah anymore. "You were thinking about me?" Noah had to pick that part out and ask. Elsa blushed. Didn't he hear the rest where she admitted to messing up? "Yes, thanks. Because of you, I got some sleep last night, and I was worried about what happened, why we have to leave in such a hurry," Elsa said with a shaky voice in her mind. She could feel him chuckle at that. She couldn't understand what was so amusing at this, but, well, he was laughing. "You are something, Elsa. But we need to talk about this later. I have work to do now." Noah tried to end it, though his heart was against it. "Talk more? I'm new to all this. Accidents happen." Elsa frowned. Was he going to punish her for such trivial things now? "No, not this. I'm curious how you reached out to me in the first place. I'm the alpha here. You're not my Luna. so there's no way I understand how you get past my mental block and spoke to me in the first place," Noah explained briefly. He was running out of time, so no matter how much he would prefer to continue the conversation, he had to end it. This time he exhaled a deep breath and let out a long sigh before establishing the wall to avoid distraction. "What are you saying? It could be a mistake? You might have let down the wall unknowingly," Elsa said in a panicked voice. She sounded confused and her voice came out trembling. But it baffled Noah. Despite his best efforts, he was still able to hear Elsa. How was she doing it? That's when he thought of something weird. Too weird. Impossible. He couldn't help but wonder if she was his second chance mate. But that was too good to be true. Moon Goddess never gave second mates. She gave werewolves the liberty to choose chosen mates, unlike the popular belief. That bond is as strong as that to a fated one. It severs the fated bond. So what was happening? Can she be his second chance mate? His heart started pounding. The thought was too enticing. He regretted that he left without kissing Elsa last night. He would have an answer at least. Why did he have to leave her just because she was dreaming of somebody? It could be anyone. Her previous pack leader, and she might be having a nightmare. Worse, it could have been the beast. "You're not replying to me, Alpha?" He heard Elsa talk to him again. "Look, Elsa, I don't know how you're doing this, but it's something we need to figure out. I'll explain everything, but later. I have to hurry. I'll meet you at the assembly point." Noah had to ask Elsa to stop talking to him. His wall was not working against her. "Fine," she replied, understanding the gravity of the situation. She wasn't a kid who couldn't wait for a while. Plus, she still had some packing to do. It wasn't much. She barely had anything that belonged to her. Her most prized possession was the dress Kira got her for the ceremony. The day progressed, and all the Opals gathered at the same place where the induction ceremony had happened last night. A lot of them looked tired. Of course, they weren't expecting that they would have to leave in such a frenzy. Elsa could bet a few of them rushed from the middle of sex. She could smell it on almost everyone. The place was stinking with that musky odor. "Beatrice." She heard someone calling her name. She took an entire minute before responding to that. She was still adjusting to it. "You are the doctor?" She looked at her with a confused look. Why would she look for her? There were so many people, but she didn't want to look too harsh. She was thinking that the doctor had probably contributed the most in saving her life. She should be thankful to her. "Indeed I am," she said as fine lines appeared near her eyes. Her age was starting to catch up. All the work and travel were probably the reason for the wrinkles and the dark circles. She needed rest. Don't they have another doctor? For a pack that travels so much, they needed a backup. "I must thank you for saving my life," Elsa thanked her. She didn't know what she should talk about with her other than that. "It's my duty, child. Is something bothering you? You haven't looked too well the past few days." She came straight to the point. So she was trying to figure out more about her findings. That means Noah didn't say anything to her, including the blood part. She took a mental note to thank him later. "No, it's just that I'm not able to sleep a lot the past few days. It could be with this induction and attack. Everything's happening so fast." Elsa didn't lie, but she didn't speak the entire truth. "Indeed, it is all too fast." She weirdly smiled at her. It was not reaching her eyes. Elsa could tell it was a fake smile, and was the doctor trying to inform her that she should not have gotten inducted as an opal? Did she manage to create an enemy already? How did she get here so quickly? Elsa just stared at her with a blank expression. Should she defend herself or portray herself as if she was oblivious to everything? Looking like a fool has always worked out for her in her previous pact. She was still deciding when everyone seemed to be at alert. She could feel it like a knock on her head. When she focused more on that, she could hear Noah speaking to everyone through the pack link that he would be there anytime soon. What the hell just happened? Her face turned a shade paler. Everyone would have noticed that change if her skin was not that faded in the first place. But thanks to the sudden rush between the people, she found a perfect opportunity to escape from there. Anyway, Noah had already informed her that they would figure it out. She didn't wish to pull more people, or at least not those who did not trust her. She could feel the doctor's glare. It was kind of intense. She looked back to check her theory, and she frowned to see the doctor looking at her but shifting her eyes immediately to avoid getting caught. She could feel her feet getting cold at that. It was disturbing. What had she done to deserve her hatred? Dear Opals, you are the best pack an alpha could ask for in his lifetime. But just to confirm, are you with me? Noah roared from the small stage that was still in the opening space. Everyone gathered near it, unlike the ceremony. They all were howling and growling to show their support. Well, Noah was great. Every werewolf was following him without a doubt. Then, when I say we have to go back to Cynthia, will you come with me? Noah asked again with hesitation. One could tell from the way that he spoke that he was not fond of this Cynthia place. So why is it so urgent we go back there? It was Kira who spoke first. I will, wherever my alpha goes. But, with your permission, can I ask why? A brief silence descended on the area, weighing down the already heavy air. The silence was so eerie that it almost reminded Elsa of the Oblivion. It was scary and lonely. History is getting repeated, my friends. The whole of Cynthia is about to get attacked. Again. And probably worse this time. And this time it's not random packs near the borders of the city. It seems the creatures and the rogues plan to overtake it fully. We must strike back, or else we lose the only place most of us can call home. Noah revealed the purpose. So this was it? Noah's parents' pack was from Cynthia? Maybe Fiona's too. He said he created Opals after Fiona's death, so most of them would be from Cynthia. She waited for others to answer. No matter what, she was going to follow Noah. I will, Elsa confirmed second. Noah nodded his head as Elsa did the same. It was weird, but she didn't know what to do next. Then a few more wolves followed her, and soon the entire pack was again howling and grunting to save their home. A wide smile spread on Noah's handsome face. Tomorrow could be a defeat, but today was a win. He had the support of his pack at any given condition. What else does an alpha need? As this question crossed his mind, he couldn't help but look at Elsa. Certainly a Luna. Chapter 22. Is she my mate? We're here, Noah said to everyone using the pack link. It's not like they were traveling by foot or running like wolves. They had their cars, but most of them preferred bikes. Kira had her bike, and it was super cool to sit behind it. She was not a rash driver, but she was one of the fastest. Elsa, Kira, Noah, and a few others parked their bikes in front of a large farm. There was a big house. One could call it a mansion. It was beautiful, covered by trees around it and flower creepers running throughout the walls. There were a lot of birds chirping in the neighborhood. One could smell the fresh breeze of the seasonal flowers blooming across the farm and feel like it was heaven. Elsa's keen sense of smell also told her there were more than one kind of farm animal. But it was a lonely house with nothing nearby. It was a big farmhouse. Elsa couldn't smell a trace of any other wolf other than Opal's, so probably it belonged to humans. She wondered if they would be spending the night here. Opals were not a huge pack, despite that they had enough members. She was wondering who would host that many wolves, or if they knew their real identity. A couple emerged from the main door of the house. Elsa gasped, seeing the owners. They were young, contrary to what she had imagined initially. The girl was a blonde. Her face had striking similarities to that of Noah. Elsa couldn't help but wonder if they were siblings.
"Hi there, my favorite brother,"
said the girl. Her smile reached her ears. Noah walked towards them with an equally big smile. He semi-hugged the man who had walked a little ahead of the girl before giving a proper warm embrace to the blonde girl. They started making small talk.
"I am not dead yet,"
Kira groaned at the siblings. "Oh, how could I forget you, beauty? Let's catch up, you and me." The man gave a flirtatious smile towards Kira. Kira rolled her eyes, but went with him somewhere hand in hand. So obviously, whoever they were close with Kira too. It was reasonable, as that girl was Noah's sister. And Kira was practically there with Noah all her life. Elsa suddenly realized that she was the awkward one. Everyone else had already left on their own, and a few were even drinking something.
"Who is this newbie? She's so pretty and different. In a good way, of course,"
the girl asked Noah while shifting her eyes between Elsa and Noah the whole time. She was curious, and it wasn't her fault. Elsa was not a regular wolf. She was much paler, with long silver hair and eyes. Except for the little gold tints, her eyes would practically mix with the cornea from some angles. But still she managed to look so beautiful, like a rare diamond. "Where are my manners? This is Beatrice, a new member of the Opals. She is the girl I was talking about. You know, the cliff, coma and all. But the good news is she's fine and accepted to be an Opal." Noah briefed her. Elsa couldn't help but wonder what else he had told her sister about her. She was again beaming with joy, like she was when she saw her brother for the first time.
"Oh, Beatrice, the feisty one. I should have known better. He said that the girl had a charismatic appearance. You are so beautiful."
The girl walked towards Elsa with the biggest possible grin. She was one of the girls who loved to laugh.
"Thank you. Sorry, I don't know your name."
Elsa scratched the back of her neck. It was all so different for her. No one ever cared to introduce themselves to her in such a warm manner. She wasn't sure how to respond to that.
"Oh, I'm sorry. I'm Naomi, Noah's cousin."
The girl introduced herself, but Elsa was staring back and forth at the siblings. Cousin? They practically look like twins, except for that hair.
"I know we resemble that much. We're almost the same age, and our fathers were twins. They married two sisters. So, yeah, the resemblance is there."
Naomi explained it, seeing her confusion. Obviously, it wasn't the first time that their similarities had confused someone. Elsa nodded her head in understanding. It was the first time she was getting to know more about Noah and his family. Elsa knew the little details about the attacks and Fiona, but that's it. Suddenly she felt as if Noah was a total stranger, and she had poured out all of her secrets to him. It was a bit unsettling, but all her worry vanished as soon as her eyes met with the gentle eyes of Noah. They were tired, but it had a weird calmness in them.
"Let's get you something to eat. It's almost dusk. You must be hungry."
Naomi sort of dragged Elsa towards the kitchen. By this time, the whole pack was already there. The hungry and tired wolves were already resting or eating. A few even started drinking. The house was huge. She wondered why Naomi was not reeking of wolf smell. The man who appeared with her was human, but she was not sure if she should ask that question when they'd only just met a couple hours ago. The food was extravagant, and so were the other arrangements. One could tell the Opals frequented this place. One part of the house was a grand mansion with extra-large bedrooms and balconies, so splendid that you would like to stay there forever. Naomi and her husband Julius had the most beautiful and large room to themselves. Noah, too, had a very spacious room. Kira was not going to stay with me, as she was staying in the guest room. Other pack members like me were staying in the back parts of the large house. It was like any pack house, but with soaring modern amenities. I wondered how rich they were. The farm did look good. Toward the southern side of it, they even had a vineyard. They were creating wine, and it tasted better than anything Elsa had ever tasted before. Not that she had tasted a lot of them. Back at the Red Moon Pack, she wasn't allowed to taste them. She had to survive on leftovers. Elsa could see that unlike most days when wolves resorted to their sexual instincts, tonight most of them were already asleep. It could be due to the long journey or excessive alcohol, but Elsa was finding it difficult to sleep like most of the nights these days. It scared her that the man would be back in her dreams. It felt so real. Also, she was staying alone. Not that she got to see Kira much, but at least there was some confidence in seeing her belongings. That was a big room, the biggest by far with the softest mattress, but she was not able to enjoy it. The void spaces were creeping her out. After twisting and turning for almost an hour, she got up to the small balcony. It wasn't grand, but was still enough. The moon shone upon her as if blessing her. She smiled at that, forgetting all her worries for a small second. She heard some rustling sounds and looked down. It could be one of the few wolves still outside enjoying the bliss of high sexual capacity. She was curious to know who it was, but then her eyes met with a pair of jet-black eyes shining under the moonlight. It reminded her of Raphael. She couldn't help but always go back to the time that they got to spend together. She didn't want to admit it, but she missed him. The gray, grisly fur with hints of black in them almost made it look like a black wolf, but Elsa had seen this wolf before. The moon shape on his forehead was unique as his wolf. It was Noah, staring at her intensely. His eyes never left hers. She could feel a sudden jolt in her heart. Elsa blanched at that. She tried to avoid the gaze, but soon she found herself looking for the wolf who was gone by now. Her stomach churned at that. She was again feeling lonely. But the next second she could feel a pair of hands tucking a strand of hair behind her ears. She knew who it was. She didn't have to look to be sure. She closed her eyes and sighed. Elsa had no idea from where she got the courage, but she covered the distance in between them as she rested her head on his firm, sturdy chest. She wasn't expecting it, but 2 pairs of strong arms engulfed her in a tight embrace. She sighed for a second time, but this came out more relaxed. She was a tall girl, but somehow being close to him made her feel petite. Noah was a strong man with muscles at all the right places. She clenched his shirt to draw him closer to her as she tried to memorize his smell. It was mild, maybe of oak? Elsa didn't feel Noah's scent as intoxicating like that of Raphael's citrus and musk smell. She was not feeling bewitched by his towering image or persona. She didn't find herself wetting her underwear for Noah. Hell, she wasn't scared to lose him or talk to him. With Noah, she felt comfortable. She felt like she was an equal. She was happy without emotions clouding her judgment. It was organic, no bond pull, no deceptions, and no rejections. "We need to get inside," Noah asked her as he stroked her long locks. Elsa nodded her head in agreement. She got out of his arms, feeling a little disconcerted by her earlier actions. She shouldn't feel embarrassed since he responded by holding her back, and they were both adults and single, but she couldn't help but feel timid. Nevertheless, she led the way to the room as she closed the door. "You look cute." Noah stared at her. Elsa flinched at that, and she was staring into his light brown eyes. Noah was smiling at her. That flustered her. What was happening to her? Noah could see her cheeks redden as she flushed. She was like a tomato. Didn't she know she was cute? No one ever said that to her? Hell, she was not just cute, but devilishly beautiful. She should know that. If required, Noah didn't mind spending an eternity to make her realize how unique and mesmerizing she was. "You're awake," Elsa whispered. She was so low that human ears would have missed it, but thank God Noah had wolf hearing. You are too, Noah answered, closing their distance. She took 2 steps back, confusing Noah. Wasn't she just hugging him a few seconds ago? What changed? Thank God they were in closed doors. What was she even thinking when she hugged him like that? What if someone saw them? They would get the wrong idea that Elsa was already working her way to the Alpha and doing all this to be a Luna. God knows she was only trying to figure out one day at a time. Elsa looked up at him to meet 2 hurt eyes. She had no right to hurt the man who was doing everything he could for her.
I don't want to lead you on or anything. I'm a mess. I don't know what I do at times. I'm scared. The man would haunt me if I sleep.
Elsa spoke of her fears. She didn't want to hurt Noah, but what she said was the truth. She was not sure what she was. She was not going to pull Noah and the Opals too much into her mud. She was grateful for whatever they were doing. Elsa, you're not leading me anywhere that I don't already want to go myself, Noah said with a pain in his voice. And here he thought she was his redemption, his second chance at love. He didn't want to tell her about the feelings growing inside of himself. That might scare her. He knew how hard life was on her. He had a hard life too. But he was never alone. It was scary to be at her place and not behave erratically.
I'm not sure. With me, everything is complicated,
she said, looking up to Noah, who was now standing in front of her, wiping a few traitorous tears that had managed to escape her eyes. We'll figure it all out, I promise. He cupped her cheeks as he said this. Elsa again found herself wrapped around his arms. This time she didn't flinch or try to get out of it. It was soothing and felt safe, and she was not going out of it any time soon. Noah could feel his heart pounding with Elsa so near to him. He wanted her to be this close to him all the time, but as they stood like that for a while, their breathing evened. There was a peaceful calmness that he never thought his heart would feel again. That's when his wolf, Adolf, spoke to him. Is she our second chance? Are we that lucky? No wonder I carry that moon shape on my forehead. There's no way someone could have such a strong emotional effect if not for a mate. Adolf was jumping to conclusions, but Noah had to push him back. This was not the time, but he couldn't help but wonder if Adolf was correct. What if she was his mate? Or was he falling for her as humans do? Was that even possible for a wolf? No. He needs to figure that out, and quick. As Elsa got out of his hold, making him feel empty, he looked at her with longing eyes, wondering, is she my mate? Chapter 23. I heard a rumor. Raphael buried himself in a pile of paper. So much information was coming from everywhere that it was hard to tell what was true and what was false. That was hard to believe. In these thriving times for humans, it was hard to go berserk and drink direct human blood. Also, the vampires could not produce with anyone other than their mates. That made it tough to increase their population. Converting to a vampire was tricky, and only a few were able to do it right. There were too many conditions required for it as well. If not followed, both the newbie and the creator could end up dead. That was another reason their population has decreased. So they couldn't have such heavy numbers on their side. Plus, a werewolf's bite was fatal to them. There were hardly any casualties from the other side. One thing was for sure, they almost wiped out packs. Whatever this thing was, certainly was more powerful than them. It could be that the royals of vampires were involved, but Raphael had spoken to them. It was a dead end. Only a few of them were left, and they were still in search of the powerful queen, so they wouldn't jeopardize anything to ruin their plans of survival and return to their earlier glory. The only promising opportunity was the rumor about the Pearl Moon's pack victory. He wanted to visit them personally and check if the facts were correct, but he was just not able to leave the moonlit city unprotected. More and more refugees had started showing up, but their plans to fortify their city were slow. The wolves had a problem. There were too many clashes and ego issues. That was the only reason we were not ruling over anything but our small packs. We're happy with a larger border. That's it. He always believed there were too many alphas for any good. Vampires are more organized, with the royal family ruling over everyone. Raphael wondered if the story of purebloods was true. Had it been, they wouldn't all be fighting with each other instead of protecting the city. The alphas were too egotistical for anyone's good. Raphael himself couldn't control his anger if someone tried to demean him. He had a strong wolf, brawnier than anyone knew. So Jera and Raphael had a lot of pride. When he had his demons to contend with, he found it difficult to speak to other alphas and forget their petty rivalries and put up a united front. At least he was glad they were still trying to hold it together. He got up from his seat and let out a long, defeated sigh. Jander, who saw his alpha's uneasiness ever since his mate jumped off a cliff, felt pity for him. He wished he was there that day to help him. He would have never let that happen. Now, there was no way they could say anything to the pack about their alpha mate's death. No one would like that. It was demoralizing. So it was a slow poison that Raphael had to swallow every day, and it was corrupting his happiness, little by little, with every passing moment. "Is there anything troubling you too much?" Jander used his friend's voice rather than the beta. He knew Raphael needed his friend more than betas these days. "Everything, honestly." Raphael gave an agonizing yet honest smile. "Do you want to take the day off and take out Divinia, maybe?" Jander asked hopefully. He knew Raphael had a soft spot for Divinia, at least he did once. Perhaps he could explore that again and see where it goes. "Not again. Divinia is practically no different from you, Jander." Raphael let out a groan, but he could feel the cocky eyes of Jander throwing daggers at him. "Okay, fine. Divinia means less than you. We are brothers, my friend." Raphael grinned. "That's much better. Then what do you want? Go to that cliff, possibly?" Jander knew Raphael visited there often. Raphael didn't have to say it to him. He was the beta and his best friend. "I think it will help calm me a bit. Thanks for understanding, but I will go there after dinner," Raphael rasped. "Then what do you want to do now?" Jander probed. "I will go and meet Lucian, sort out a few things. We need someone as powerful as him watching over our city when I'm out. I can't trust anyone else," Raphael speculated. He was unsure if the Moonlit City had any chances if they fought between themselves. The only one that they would probably listen to in his absence was Lucian. "I bet you must include that Travis guy. I mean, he still has a stronghold over the city," Jander suggested. Raphael smiled at that. He probably had the best beta. He was sure of only one thing. The Black Moon was safe under Divinia's and Jander's watchful eyes. "When do you plan to leave?" Jander queried. He had to prepare a few things. "Tomorrow, first thing," Raphael confirmed. "May I ask where?" Jander was curious. "I have a feeling I have to do it alone, Jander. But I will trust you in case something happens. But keep it to yourself. Can you promise me that?" Raphael requested. It was not like him to plead for anything, so Jander was tenser. "Of course. You are my alpha. But are you sure you don't want Divinia for this?" He cocked his eyebrows. "No. Not even Liriana. They would be worrying too much otherwise, and they have too much on their plates already," Raphael explained. Jander nodded his head in agreement. "I heard a rumor about Pearl Moon Pack. I am going to visit them," Raphael said. "You know that could be a purely baseless rumor, right?" Jander wheeled. "I know. But that was the best lead we've got so far," Raphael sighed. But I doubt it is. I mean, we see these creatures are attacking the Eastern Territory. Pearl Moon Pack is a days and a half ride from there. Do you think they have the strength to attack at multiple places? I don't want to believe that. It's scary," Jander retorted. I know. But what if those rumors are true? That means we are undermining their strength. And think, if such a small pack could defeat them, then we certainly can. We need to gather as much information as possible. Jander knew his alpha inside and out. Raphael was a hard-headed man. Once he wanted to find something out, he would reach the bottom of it. Raphael showing interest in those creatures was already a sign that their bad times are at bay. He felt proud of his alpha as his chest widened with pride. Just then they heard a knock outside the door. It was Davinia. They quickly changed the topic and started discussing trivial matters. Davinia could sense something was off, but she pondered a little. She had her ways of finding things out. She made it look like she was the person least interested in Raphael's personal life, when she was in fact the one most tethered to it. Like when she had had Angela keeping tabs on Raphael and informing her about him and that mate of his. That morning before Raphael had asked her to come to Red Moon Pack, Davinia was already headed off towards it. Angela had already informed her that there was something going on between those two. She was curious. She wanted to meet the girl who had the potential to make Raphael force her to take part in the claiming event. Also, damn, she had the nerves to reject his advances. There was no one, absolutely no one, who would not fall for his charms. He was a demigod. There is no way she would have known he was her mate before they mated. And how could she forget that impetuous little crystal? She'd made Raphael late for her birthday. Davinia banished her in such a manner that it looked like Crystal's fault, and Raphael ended up in her arms, feeling guilty that he'd had sex with a traitor. His pain was always her gain until that Elsa witch. She was not even a wolf Davinia was worried about. It was a good thing she died that day, else she would have had to kill her in cold blood. "What are you thinking so deeply, Davinia?" Raphael called to her, breaking her train of evil thoughts.
I'm here to inform you of something. Last night, after you left me near the riverbed, I saw a girl and a man talking across the river. Nothing was clear, but I wonder who would meet like that in secret at such an odd place,
Davinia said with a grave voice. "Why didn't you tell me before?" Raphael snapped. Her irresponsibility agitated him. He rushed towards her in a delirium. It could be their chance at some information.
You were so exhausted. When I came back, you were already sleeping. You sleep so rarely these days that I didn't have the heart to wake you up. Plus, it could have been the refugees that we've been receiving for months now. I have already set a team to look to see if any refugees came by there last night.
Davinia quickly filled him in. She knew Raphael would be angry at her at first, but she would get away with it. There were patrols everywhere these days, so there was a high risk someone could have seen her talking with her father. So before anyone else gave Raphael any information, she must test it to her advantage. "Still, you should have woken me up," Raphael hollered.
I will keep that in mind next time. I am sorry I was wrong,
Davinia said in a sorry tone. She knew when to pull what tricks. "I am sorry. I should not have shouted at you like that. You were only thinking about me, but you are a Luna now, and we are in great danger. You have to be more careful," Raphael nagged. Davinia did not object or complain. She only nodded her head in acceptance. Then she started discussing other pack affairs before leaving the two alone. "Dude, what should I tell them when you're gone tomorrow?" Jander asked as soon as Davinia left. It was bothering him for a while now. Raphael was in a dilemma for a bit, then said, "Just tell them I'm off to meet the vampires or something." Jander chuckled at that. So it seemed like a perfect excuse for everyone.
Father, Raphael is going out of the city. I don't know where, but when I was outside of his office after informing him about our meeting as we'd planned, I heard Jander and Raphael discussing something about him leaving the city. He's after you.
Davinia called her father to inform him about the additional information she'd learned. "Then it is time we attack your city," The voice grinned over the phone.
No, it will only make me look weak. Plus, we still don't have the strength to take the whole moonlit city in such a rush. You're close to finding that girl. Stay focused. I will let you know when it's time. These alphas are so petty that they will kill themselves. They won't have to do much, so wait for my signal,
Davinia bellowed. Are you so fond of that alpha toy now, and that pathetic city of yours, now that you are a Luna? The man grumbled.
No, we must find out where Raphael is going, and you should do that for me. And here I am going to weaken this fort for you. We have to be patient. Don't forget that we need the wolf just like the girl. Without the girl, it will be difficult to hold off Raphael,
Davinia snapped back. The man growled, but he knew she was right. After all, he had raised her. It was odd how he was losing his sight. At least they were there for each other. Fine, the man groaned one last time before cutting the line. Little wolf, you are only roaming like that because I haven't found her yet, the man hissed to himself. Chapter 24. My Second Chance.
Why are you here, Noah?
Elsa shrugged. She had a weird feeling about it. Do you want to know? Noah answered with a question of his own. He looked deeply into her eyes that had so many stories hidden in them. It pained Noah. He wondered if she would ever feel comfortable enough to share all that with him. Elsa looked outside through the small window. She didn't know if she wanted to know that. Noah was going beyond his alpha duties when it concerned her. She knew that, and she couldn't decide if she didn't like it. It felt good to be at the receiving end for once. She was not ready to play games of the heart yet. The more she wanted to get rid of Raphael, the more she was feeling connected to him. Some days she could bet things she was feeling were not entirely hers. It was as if Raphael, or his wolf, were reaching out to her. But it could have also been her imagination. Raphael rejected her, and right after, had sex with Davinia to prove his point.
Yes,
Elsa confirmed. She was still not prepared for the answer, but she didn't wish to be in the dark. Earlier today, when I was blocking out everyone, you still managed to connect with me. At first I thought it was my mistake. Somehow I let you have it, as I was a bit worried about you after that night. But the second time, I'm sure I blocked you. But you could still reach out to me with no hassle. I didn't even feel that you'd broken the barrier. Noah looked at her with dreamy yet puzzled eyes. Elsa wasn't sure why he said that. Where was this leading? But she had already figured out that there was something weird about how the pack link works with her.
What do you mean?
Elsa wanted to know what Noah thought before letting him know about the oddities. No one could do that with an alpha, except... Noah hesitated to speak the last word. Elsa's eyes widened at that. She was not ready for that word, but she could be wrong. It happened back in the Red Moon pack, and no way Riker was her mate. Except for my Luna, Noah finished, despite seeing the apprehension in her eyes. It was his chance. He had to let her know what he was thinking. If she was their Luna, then he or his pack couldn't afford to lose her, even if it means he has to fight her demons.
I can't be your Luna,
Elsa blurted out immediately. She sounded so sure and stubborn that it hurt Noah. Noah wasn't expecting such an abrupt response. He knew Elsa might not agree with it or even disbelieve its probability, but that sudden rejection was too painful. It was as if sharp thorns had pricked his delicate heart 1,000 times and were still not done. Elsa immediately regretted her words. Noah's eyes were too hurt, even as he was not saying anything. It wasn't that Elsa had not figured it out, that Noah harbored certain feelings towards her. but she wasn't aware that he was getting so serious. She was barely finding her place. Even so, it didn't feel good to hurt Noah that way.
Sorry,
she mumbled. It's okay. It's just a thought, not necessarily correct. Noah tried to comfort himself more than he was doing for her.
Yes, you're right, Noah. There is something that I must tell you now. My previous mate never said those words. He never rejected me properly. We mated, we found out, and then he was not ready for it. I was heartbroken and I jumped from the cliff.
Elsa filled in the necessary part of her short story with Raphael. It would not be a lie that Elsa felt like dying again. It wouldn't be a lie to say that Elsa felt like dying all over again as she repeated those memories. Her heart pained as if it was getting torn with wolf claws, yet she was putting up a smiling face to encourage Noah. Elsa, you are as broken as I am. You're not marked, so you could be... Noah was hopeful about seeing her encouragement, but it vanished as fast as it had started. Elsa was frowning now. She was not ready for it, and probably Noah was pushing too far.
Noah, mates are so rare, and you believe in second chances? How can someone be so lucky?
Elsa hissed. It was too presumptuous of him. It was not going to end well for anybody. I know, but how do we ignore what happened this morning? Noah probed.
I don't know. When I was back with my previous pack, there was an attack, and I had to somehow manage to call my entire pack for help. But it could have been my mate, too. So I'm not sure. I might be of alpha blood as well. I am an orphan rescued from the war. I'll never know.
Elsa was trying to pull forward all possible reasons. Elsa didn't want to be his mate, or anybody's, except for Raphael. She wasn't sure why. Noah seemed great. Accepting him would reduce her pain, and she could have a chance at a better life. But cutting off Raphael on a whim was too much for her. She couldn't bear the thought, let alone go and do it for real. Her heart yearned for him, and her body was feeling a heat that hadn't diminished over the past year. She needed Raphael. Was he an alpha? Noah whispered. He was getting irritated. Why was he so stubborn? Was she still in love with that cheater? How could she be? It infuriated him. He must be the man she was moaning about the other night in her sleep. He could feel rage, but he was still holding it together somehow.
Yes,
Elsa agreed. She was unsure where this was going. Then maybe you can do it when your alpha mate is around you. Lunas can do that, Noah reasoned. It sounded like the best explanation for everything happening. She wasn't sure how to reject that. There was no reason why she could. Elsa sighed. She might be facing her second chance right now and rejecting it. Elsa might be making Noah go through the same thing Raphael did to her. She was not that bad. How would she ever forget it if she did that to someone like Noah? She was there from the beginning. Had it not been for him, she would already be dead. Noah carried her dead weight for over a year, and now was standing for her. He'd only ever helped her and given her affection. Why was she so stubborn as to not realize this pure thing? It wasn't toxic like she'd had with Raphael. No chemical reactions, no hormone pools. A bond forged organically with mutual trust and respect. Why was she hell-bent to let this one go for Raphael? It could be her second chance, too. Why had she been such a fool not to see it?
Noah,
Elsa squealed. Noah knew she was reanalyzing her situation, and he was glad. He immediately reached for her as he engulfed her in a tight embrace. Elsa's heart calmed a little at that, but it was still beating at a crazy speed. Nothing seemed correct. She was not sure anymore what to do. She was hopeful Noah would figure it out for the both of them. "Do you want to find out?" Noah proposed. Elsa merely nodded her head. "You know we need to at least—" Noah's heart was jumping at the thought of kissing Elsa. Elsa swallowed a glob of saliva as he looked into her eyes that had an ocean of emotion. For once she wanted to drown in them and enjoy something freely. Elsa wasn't worried about the mate thing anymore. She wanted to taste his lips and see how they felt. Noah's heart skipped a beat when Elsa's lips parted a bit. His Adam's apple moved greedily. He looked at her luscious and perky pink lips hungrily. He wanted to feel them, cherish them. The need to close the distance was eerie. Noah bent his head towards Elsa, and she didn't run away. Elsa closed her eyes when only a few inches remained. At that point, no one knew. Fated or not, Elsa was the one he needed. He would make her see that he was the one for her. His heart had already chosen her as an equal. He felt relief wash all over him at that, and he felt calm before the need rising again. There was no more tension holding him back. It was only a few inches separating his and Elsa's protruding rosy lips. He smirked as he claimed her inviting, palatable lips, ravishing her taste. Raphael left to go to the Pearl Moon Pack before sunrise. He didn't want prying eyes and didn't want to answer any questions. Jander and Lucian were the only two people who knew his actual intention. He couldn't bring himself to trust Travis yet. Raphael was glad about his newfound trust and friendship with Lucian. He was happy that at least now he had an ally and friend for life. But as soon as Raphael left the moonlit city borders, his wolf could sense someone following him. He tried to figure out what or who it was, but there was no one. There was not even a trace of smell or any vehicle or paw prints. But his wolf knew there was something odd happening around him. It was as if the surrounding air had conspired against him and whispered about him. After some time it went silent, and Raphael shrugged off the eerie feeling and went ahead towards his destination that was quite far from where he started. As he passed by the ocean, all he could think about was how it took Elsa from him. He used to love the ocean, but now it reminded him too much of Elsa, and the fact that he could never have her. He didn't realize a lonely, rebellious tear escaped from the corner of his eye. All he wanted was a second chance. He knew he would do it right this time. Even though Raphael's body was tired, he drove through the night without resting so that he would reach the Pearl Moon Pack by dawn. It might surprise Alpha Connor to receive him that early, but he would make the necessary amendments. He quickly called Jander to let him know that he needed to update the Pearl Moon Pack on his new arrival time. The more Raphael went near the Pearl Moon Pack, the more the creepy behaviors were starting. After a point, he was not able to ignore them. Raphael knew something was going on. He had to trust his instincts. There was only one way he could evade it, and that was by shifting and letting his wolf take over. Once he was near the border of the Pearl Moon Pack, he looked for a place to park his vehicle, when he found a large abandoned house, probably ruined by the recent war. He parked near it. It smelled eccentric for a broken mansion. He quickly shifted into his wolf and growled. Jera was always happy to take the lead. He liked to be out and in control. But he had a strong human. But he can't complain about that. The wolf was as strong as humans were. Jera could pick up the faint lavender traces, and he groaned. It reminded him of Elsa's delightful smell. But he shook his head and made a run for Pearl Moon territory. The further he went inside, the surrounding creepiness subdued, and the fresh smell of lavenders and roses replaced it. He was so enamored by it that he couldn't ignore it anymore. Jera followed the scent. Soon he was standing in front of a small pack house. His heart was beating erratically. Was Elsa inside there? Was he finally going to reunite with her? Has Moon Goddess finally showed her kindness to give him a second chance? My second chance, Raphael whispered as a smile spread across his handsome face as he shifted to his human form. Chapter 25. The Pain. Raphael walked straight towards the pack house. A few early wakers coming out of the pack house stopped him. At first they thought Raphael might be a rogue wolf, but his aura was too strong for that, and he beamed of power and confidence. The Pearl Moon wolves took a fighting stride, but were calculating their odds when they heard a loud growl of their alpha. Alpha Raphael, you're early and at the wrong place, Connor spoke as he walked towards him. The other wolves surrounding Raphael left them after nodding to Connor. I am where I should be. Raphael let out an angry growl himself. Calm down. I just got out of war and we're still healing. I'm not here to pick a fight with you. Connor raised his hand of friendship. Raphael was not sure if it had been too soon. He weighed something on his mind before doing the same. Why are you here? And you did not call. My beta saw you coming towards here. Connor gloated. I'm here because I picked up an exotic, delightful scent. I must find the owner. Raphael's eyes beamed with joy, confusion, and agony. But Connor didn't think it was wise to press the matter more. If he was here for his Luna, then no one could stop him. It was a great thing that such a powerful alpha is fated to someone from the Pearl Moon pack, but how was he able to pick up the odor even before seeing her? It doesn't happen anymore. How could you pick up the odor? It's not supposed to happen this way until... Connor didn't want to believe that someone from his pack was dumb enough to take part in the claiming and come back without completing the marking process with the almighty alpha. Who would be that dumb? And why? If you can smell her, then she can too, but she isn't coming out. Why? Connor quirked his eyebrows. If his pack member was determined to reject this almighty wolf, then he had to choose his own. Connor was the alpha, and his duty was towards his pack. That was a situation he didn't want to be in at all. Raphael and his wolf were getting impatient to barge in and find Elsa. But he was in another wolf's territory, and he had hurt Elsa way too much. If he could smell Elsa, then it would be the same for her as well. So if she wasn't coming out, it meant she was hurt and wanted to ignore him. He couldn't blame Elsa for that. He was finding it hard to find the right words to say when he met Elsa. He groaned impatiently. He had to reach her now. Let our Luna reach. We'll be getting inside the pack house, Connor spoke, seeing his impatience. As soon as Luna Teresa arrived, Raphael immediately asked to go inside and search for the owner. The Alpha and Luna knew better than to prevent a wolf in such situations. They quickly agreed, but followed him inside. Raphael went further into the pack house and finally to the uppermost floor. He was standing in front of a room where the smell was most definitely coming from. It was faint for a person to be in there, but it was enough to know that the person had spent most of their time in there. This. Raphael looked at the Alpha and Luna, requesting them to unlock the door and call for the person staying here. But they were only looking at each other in dismay and confusion, irritating Raphael to the bone. Seeing their hesitation, Raphael barged inside the room forcefully, breaking the door into pieces. It was empty. No one was there. But everything in that room was basked in Elsa's essence. It was soothing and yet terrifying. He picked up the bedsheet and sniffed it, drowning in her remaining sweet lavender and rose fragrance. Where is she? Raphael whisper yelled. Beatrice! The Luna spoke for the first time. She was confused. She had assumed her to be close with Noah, but the Opals had been selective about their pack affairs. Who? Raphael snapped. The scent was supposed to be Elsa's. She's already left, Teresa spoke in a trembling voice. Raphael's rage was letting out some of his alpha voice. It was weird it had such an effect on other alphas. How powerful was he? Where? Who is she? Raphael asked in an unusually calm voice. We have no idea. Beatrice wasn't from Pearlmoon. Her pack left last morning. They headed south, but they could have done that to fool us. We didn't ask and they didn't tell. Connor came forward to his Luna's rescue. Her pack? Why were they here? Raphael bellowed. He was surprisingly calm while his eyes were glowing with a golden ring. Probably his wolf was fighting to take control. The Opals. Their leader Noah had come here to support us in our fight against the creatures. It was because of them that we were able to defeat them. They left yesterday, maybe to help out some other pack. Connor briefed him. Was she hurt? Raphael's voice came out shaky as a teardrop fell from his eyes. It could be from hurt or anger, but whoever she was meant a lot to him.
At first, yes, but she recovered too fast. They even inducted her into the Opals the day before.
Teresa, surprisingly recovered from her fears, approached Raphael despite Connor's small protest.
It was as if she could understand his broken heart.
You mean Elsa was hurt? They didn't force her, right? Raphael looked at Teresa with tear-filled eyes. He quivered with pain and felt distressed. He couldn't help but feel her loss. He failed her as a mate. He was again not there to protect her. But happiness washed over him knowing that she was alive and well.
She is fine, I promise. But she was called Beatrice, not Elsa. She was more than happy to be an opal. We wish we could tell you more, but that's all we know. If you leave early, then maybe you could catch them. You can smell her, right? Teresa cooed.
Cold fear washed over him. All the memories of Elsa jumping off the cliff came back. What if it was someone else and not Elsa? He could feel that dreadful, lonely, deep and sharp pain rippling through his body. He wasn't sure how he was alive all these days feeling that way, but he deserved that. And he needed to live for his pack. He kneeled as he let out a loud growl filled with sorrow and pain. Raphael nodded. He was not sure why they called her Beatrice, or if she was someone else, but he needed to find her. He had so many questions for this girl. He thanked the Alpha and the Luna and picked up his bedsheet basked with her essence. He quickly shifted to his wolf as he ran towards his vehicle. Whoever was the owner of that smell was his next destination. Noah invaded Elsa's mouth as his world narrowed down to that kiss. His stomach churned and his heart raced. He felt alive. He didn't even know that he was dead inside all these years until these feral emotions invaded his mind. He could feel a throbbing between his pants, but all his focus was on ravishing Elsa's mouth. He didn't want to break apart. It was as if his body had a mind of its own. He was pulling Elsa more to him, trying to explore every inch possible. Elsa was a great kisser. She'd kissed only one man, one night, so this felt great. For once, her mind was free from Raphael and other tensions. She was so immersed in that moment, as desire and passion rushed through her veins. Noah bit her lips with some urgency, and a soft moan escaped Elsa's lips, making him more hungry and needy for her, if that was possible. Noah pressed her ass cheeks as he picked her up and placed her on the table. He was squeezing her inner thighs and grunting from time to time, showing his pining want for her. The need Noah was showing for her was making her whimper and shiver. She was pulling his head towards her as her hands wildly ruffled his hair. They finally broke their kiss, gasping for air. Elsa was panting and sweating. The air had certainly become hotter than what it had been before that kiss. She blushed. Noah let out a loud growl, seeing her reaction. He was not sure at first, but seeing her react like that to his touch made him feel victorious. When Noah touched his lips to Elsa's for the first time and tasted her, he knew right away that Elsa was not his mate. It broke his heart, but it was soon filled with the warmth when Elsa didn't push him away. She must have realized it too, but was equally passionate about that kiss. He ended up feeling better than he would have if those mate sparks and her fragrance would have captivated him that moment. He knew he was not going to get rejected right away. He still had a chance. They can be chosen mates, after all. Noah was already missing her sweet lips. They were a bit red from all the kissing and nibbling. But he still had so much to do with her. He had not finished. Not even close. He pushed her hair back as he guzzled in her fragrance of roses and something else that he wasn't sure of. He would find out once he marked her. He was determined to do that someday. He nuzzled the crook of her neck, earning him another soft moan. "Are you sure?" Noah muttered. He was unsure why he was even asking that. What if she breaks apart? He wanted her, and yet he was giving her another chance to walk away from him. But also, he wasn't able to take advantage of the situation. Of her. He had to know if she wanted it, and knew they were not mates.
I am, for now. I don't know what the new day will bring, but right now, I need you, Noah,"
Elsa whispered. Noah could feel goosebumps when he heard his name roll out of her mouth. Noah wasn't sure he would ever be able to control himself if he kissed her again, but he didn't have the strength to reject her or force her to make a decision right then. He had to be patient, and right now, all he needed to do was pleasure her so much that she couldn't walk away from him even if she wanted. With a new determination, Noah looked into her eyes. He stared at her like that for a brief moment before Elsa lost the battle and closed her eyes as Noah squeezed her inner thighs. Noah growled, seeing her react like that to his touch. It was too satisfying. Before he knew what he was doing, he was kissing her back. This time it was wilder and demanding. But this time Elsa was kissing him back with more aggression, need, and passion, making him twitch inside his trousers. It only made him more daring. Noah was now freely touching Elsa and exploring her feminine, delicate curves as Elsa pushed him towards her. She was going to be his death. How could someone feel so much for just one person and yet not feel enough? She was an enchantress, wrapping him around her little fingers, and he would do anything to keep it like that. Noah picked her up from the table and walked towards the bed. He was not going to stop at anything unless Elsa stopped him. He was a wolf, an alpha at that. How could he control his sexual need when he was so emotionally inclined to this woman? He couldn't. Everything was hazy other than that. Elsa and their heated passion. But suddenly Elsa broke apart. She rushed to the other corner of the room without even sparing an eye to him. It pained him as if thousands of needles were pricking his delicate heart at the same time. He wasn't expecting her to separate like that, but when he saw her wrapped up into a ball in one corner, he rushed to her. He couldn't fathom why she was behaving so erratically all of a sudden. One moment before they were fine, completely enamored with each other. They might have ended up having sex, but now she was sitting in one corner, with her head over her knees and her hands wrapped up. What happened? Noah rushed to her side and he slowly patted her hair. He didn't say anything, unaware of what was happening or what he should say. He wondered if she realized he had made a mistake, and she would walk away from him now. His heart ached with that thought. He brushed off his unwary feeling and asked, "What happened?" Elsa lifted her head, her eyes puffy and red from crying. Her face had turned paler, as if her face had been deprived of the blood. Her body was cold and she was shivering. Noah pulled her into his warm embrace and tried to soothe her, but it only broke down the last little bit of control Elsa had. She cried her heart out as pain coursed through her body. It was so deep, lonely, and terrifying that she wasn't sure how someone could live feeling that way. "What is it?" Noah asked again.
"I don't know. It's so cold. I feel a horrifying and nerve-chilling sorrow and sharp pain. Help me, Noah. I can't bear it."
Elsa fumbled as she lost consciousness.